What's up, guys? Welcome back to part 2 of Start to Finish series. This is the series where I make a banner my way. Everything I do, I'll be recording it and showing you guys. So once you open up your render, this is what I've made. I'm just going to duplicate this into my Zeb's GFX pack version 1. You can get this pack for free. There'll be a download link in the description. So there's that, and I'm just gonna kind of rotate it because it's a little big, and I'm just gonna shrink it like a lot. So let's say, yeah, kind of squished it a little. Hold on, fix this. I'm gonna redo this because I squished it. So here's this huge render. I guess I could work with this. So I'm gonna start off by doing filters. So all you gotta do to do filters, it's actually really easy, is do Control J on your keyboard to duplicate. So you duplicate your render, you go filter, and then filter gallery, and then this is gonna pop up all these weird things. Now to start off, I go to stylized glowing edges. Now here's what I use is 174. You could just pause the video, copy this down, and there's that. Now what I do is I go overlay, and then I turn the opacity way down. So like maybe 25%. So now it makes it a little darker, nicer edges. Actually, I might raise the opacity a little bit more. See, maybe like 35. Yeah, that'll work. So just select both the layers, merge, and then do Control J to duplicate it again. And then where you want to go is filter gallery, and then you want to go into texture. Now I like to use this texture or Craquiller. I can't really pronounce it, but these are both really good textures to use. For this type of render, I'm probably gonna use this, so I'm just gonna kind of edit these a little. So 11 there, and then so 1144. So there you go. Now I'm just gonna overlay this one again, and I'm gonna turn the opacity way down. So maybe like right there. So as you can see, it's getting darker and darker slowly though, but it's making the render look nicer. So now I'm just gonna duplicate it again, go filter gallery, and then I'm gonna go into, now this one's optional, I'm gonna go into distort and then ocean ripple. Now this is a really common effect people are using, but I use it sometimes, not all the time. So here I'm gonna show you how to use this. So personally, what I like to do is I like to have some of my edges having this ripple effect, not the whole thing. So I just, erase some of this, just kind of erase parts of it, not all of it, but just little pieces. So like you get this nice little randomize. I don't like them having on the chain, so I'm gonna delete them all off the chain. Just kind of clean that up. Just gonna erase some of this over here. Just kind of randomize it on the downer part. Now for up here, I'm just gonna make the brush like 50, maybe a little smaller, so like 37. I'm just gonna kind of cruise through here, just kind of fill out the shape slowly. Same over here, just kind of want small pieces of it showing. Might delete a little more over here, delete some of these. Same over here for the S. I mean, it's just kind of randomizing it. And then once you have it to your liking, I might delete a little more, make it look a little nicer. Once you have it to your liking, actually, man, I might erase it a little more. See, this series, it can be long and it can be short. So there you go. As you can see, makes like a ripple effect. Delete a couple up here. So if I deselect it, you could see the difference now. I'm just gonna get some of this as well. Maybe on here. Okay, so might delete a little more actually. Like I said, it's all up to you, but my personal opinion, I like to have a very small amount of this ripple effect. So, I mean, I'm going to delete a little more off the Z there. Okay, that'll work. Okay, there. That'll work. So, now that you have your thing, I'm going to overlay it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to overlay it. I'm just going to keep it like that. But I'm going to turn the opacity down just a little bit so it's not too common. So, there we go. And I'm just going to merge these two together. So now, once you have your render and all your filters set up, you just want to duplicate it into your layout, your YouTube one banner thing, right? Dimensions. So once you do that, it's obviously too big, so I'm just gonna make it a little smaller by holding Shift and then getting an edge, which doesn't like mess with the size at all. It just keeps it like this. I mean, it's hard to explain. Just hold Shift when you want to resize things. So now that you have this, I like to duplicate the render again, bring this render behind it, and then just do Control T to resize, and hold Shift, and I'm just gonna make it a little bigger, like about right there. And then I'm gonna turn the opacity way down, so about right there. It makes a nice little effect. And now it's on to the effects, lighting, all sorts of fun stuff like that. So I'm gonna get a color correction. I always like to get color corrections first. So depending on your style, I either like let's see here. I might use green this tutorial. Maybe either red or green. I'm liking green. I think I might use green. So I'm just gonna put this onto this, and I'm just gonna put it over everything because it's color correction, so it's meant to. And as you can see, it's really dark. You can barely tell it says Zebs. So all you gotta do is just don't duplicate it. Make a new layer down here on the bottom right, this page looking thing, and get your brush. And you just want to set it to a bright like a bright right or bright white, my bad. And you just want to set the brush to about, that'll work. So like 65. And all you gotta do is just kind of fill over, like follow the letters, like fill out the letters with this. What this will do is it'll make it brighter when you overlay it, so then you can actually see what it is. So it's really helpful. I'm just gonna do this, so that'll work. And I'm just gonna go overlay, and there you go. As you can tell, it's a lot brighter, but it's a little too bright. So I'm just gonna turn the opacity down just a little bit, just like maybe right there. Might do the same for down here, like just kind of add some lighting down here a little bit, just a little bit. So there we go, that'll work. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some lights. Now to do this, you just got to get some lights, which in this pack I've already made a light thing for you, so you won't have to. It is the third one. Here, let me deselect this. As you can see, it makes a nice little light. I use this all the time. It's pretty much a pre-made light, saves time, and it looks nice. So I'm just going to do this, and then I'm going to put it over on the top, so like this. And that color correction, it changed the color. As you can see, everything that will be under this screen will be green. So so for people who don't use color corrections, and if you have to change color for every single thing, just use a color correction. Not all color corrections are like dark and grungy like this, but I like my banners like grungy and stuff, so I'm just gonna use it. So I'm liking that. So I have my lighting. I'm gonna add my textures now. Now textures are important depending on the banner. Since this is a grungy banner, you obviously want to use grungy materials. So one of my favorites is this one down here. This is one of my all-time favorite textures. I just love this texture. and I'm just going to put this over the white paintbrush you covered it over when you did a clipping mask. All you gotta do is once it's over that, just do Control T to duplicate, and you just want to put it over the render. And then all you gotta do is go Overlay, and then create clipping mask. And what that does is a clipping mask makes it where that render is only on the this. So like this arrow's facing down, which is facing down on this, which is clipped to this, which is the render. So all of these are all clipped to this render, which means it won't show up anywhere else besides this render, these textures and paintbrushes, which is very helpful. So if I deselect, you can see a barely noticed, but it's still noticeable. And I'm actually going to duplicate it again to make it even more noticeable. So I'm just going to create clipping mask, and then merge these two together like that, and then do a overlay like that. So now it's even more noticeable. So now I'm actually going to use that same texture for the background. So I'm just going to do this, duplicate it into the Zeb's banner, and then I'm just going to put it on the very bottom since it's the background. And I'm just going to kind of just fill the background with this. Now, if it's small, you could just duplicate it like this, like that, and it'll fit. There you go. If it doesn't, stretching out could work a little. So there you go. I'm going to merge these two together, make it easier, and then I'm just going to turn the opacity down a little bit, so like 48% is good. It's barely noticeable. And then I'm just going to get some other textures. Let's see here. This one's a good texture as well. I really like this one. I'm just going to kind of put this one in the middle. This is a very good middle texture. I like to use this texture for like the middle of my renders, like behind the middle, so like this. And I'm just going to turn the opacity way down on these, like way down. It's like, like 34%. Merge these two together. My bad, messed that up. Merge these two together like that. So there you go. So now on YouTube, it's sort of hard to tell like what this is doing, but when you're in Photoshop and you're actually looking at this, and when the banner's actually complete, you'll actually tell a difference. YouTube just downgrades the quality of things, so it's really hard to tell what you're actually doing. So once you have those textures to your liking, or whatever texture you want to use in this pack, I'll also include my version 2 pack, which I might use later, depending on what I need. There's some very good textures in here. There's a lot of grunge textures. There's a lot of like other types of textures too besides grunge, so there's that. And the next I like to do is probably mess with my effects, flares, stuff like that. Maybe make the green a little brighter, just random stuff. So I'm probably gonna go into my smoke and go white smoke, and then do this. This is a very good smoke. It's also in the pack. Everything I'm using is in this pack, which will be in the description below. So if you want to download it and use some of the things I use, you can do that. And I'm just going to kind of put this one over the render and all of the clipping masks. And as you can see, it's too big, so I'm just going to hold shift, make it smaller. So like maybe this small, something like this. And I'm just going to duplicate this so it fits the render. And as you can see, if you look over here, it's not normal. It's lightened. So when you merge layers together, it makes it normal. So you want to remember what it was, because as you can see, it's like a box, like a black box with smoke. You just want to change this normal to lighten, because that's what it was before. So as you can see, it's back to its original smoke form. And I'm just going to turn the opacity down because it's way too strong. And I'm actually going to erase some of it to make it a little bit smoother, not so thick, maybe you could say. Kind of just like erase bits of it, make it a little nicer, kind of like that. And I'm actually going to turn the opacity down even more, so like that. So there we go. We have this nice smoky look on the very bottom. And I'm just going to duplicate this light again because it's hard to notice everything down there with the smoke. And then I'm just going to turn the opacity down a little bit more on this one because it's too bright. So make sure these are together. So yeah, merge these. There we go. So we have our two lights. Doesn't look very good without the lights. So lights are very important in a banner. And then the next part I like to do is do like stars for the background. So I'm just gonna use maybe possibly this one. I like this one. I'm just gonna use this. So put this on the banner. Now this is a background type thing. It's like a little add-on. I'm gonna put these over the textures actually, and I'm going to just do this like that. Simple. And I might make it lighten so it's like transparent. And I'm just gonna do that. Duplicate it so it's everywhere. So I'm just gonna duplicate it again, bring it in the back, and I'm gonna turn down the transparency on these so it's not so thick and noticeable. So like that. And I'm just gonna merge all these stars together. Merge. And I'm gonna lighten it. And then I'm gonna turn the opacity way down. So like about right there. So it's barely noticeable. You might not be able to notice on YouTube, but on here it's noticeable. So now I'm just gonna create a new layer because I'm gonna make it green. Overlay, create clipping mask, get your brush, and then since it's green, I'm just gonna make it this nice green. Here are the, if you want to use this exact color, you can by, here are the numbers to get this color. So I'm just going to make my brush bigger so it's easier to color it in. So I'm just gonna color it in, make the stars green for a nice little particle effect. And now the next part, I'm actually gonna be working on the particles. Now this part is gonna involve the version 2 of the pack because that has better particles than the version 1. So I'm just gonna let this open. By the way, both packs will be in the download description below. Also, if you don't have a YouTube layout like that fits the YouTube dimensions, this will also be in the download description below. So if you want to use this, you can. And here's my version 2 pack. Now particles, I have better particles in here than I do in my version 1 pack. So I'm just going to find some particles I want to use. So maybe I like these particles and lights. So I'm just gonna kind of put these right up here in the very top. And I'm just going to do this. Fill the render, maybe a little randomize it like that. And it's obviously way too strong, so I'm just gonna turn down the opacity. So like about right there. And these particles, they look like they're not randomized, they're just kind of there, like they're like in a square sort of. So I'm just gonna kind of resize, or not resize them, but kind of just move them randomly so they look like just random particles. So as you can see, you got some nice particles on there. It looks like there's particles, so it's all good. You have a little bit of star particles. Actually, I might put these particles in the background as well. So I'm just gonna merge these. It was lightened, so I'm just gonna make these lighten so it fits. And I'm just gonna bring this to the very, make sure this is the, wait a second. Is that right? Make sure this is the, okay, yeah. So I'm gonna duplicate this, and I'm gonna bring it to the very bottom, above the clipping mask of the green for the other stars. And I'm just gonna bring these back here, kinda like that, just kinda randomize it. Actually, I might make it a little bit smaller, so there's smaller particles. So like that, that'll work. And I'm just gonna duplicate it again for the same size, symmetrical. So like that, randomize it. And it's a little bright on the background, so I'm just gonna turn down the opacity on these. So like maybe right there. That's pretty good. And there is that. So now I'm going to maybe add on some stocks. I actually might add on this stock for the very bottom. It's very good stock for like bottom renders. I'll show you. Let's see if it'll look good on this render though. So I'm just going to kind of do linear dodge. It's kind of like a flame. I'm just going to duplicate it so it fits the render. And it's obviously way too big, so I'm just going to erase some of it. Maybe over here. Just kind of trim it. Just kind of slightly trim it so it's like that. Kind of randomize it. Go to the other one so I can trim this side. Like that. That'll work. And I'm just going to bring these down a little bit more. And I'm going to turn down the opacity. It adds a nice little effect for the bottom part, and I actually might do it for the top part as well. I'm just going to do this, flip it over, just kind of, it adds a little bit more particles to it, so maybe right there. On the bottom part, I'm actually going to remove one because it's a little too noticeable. I'm just going to kind of do this, like that. A little bit less particles on the bottom. So it looks pretty good. I like the way this came out. So it actually wasn't too much stuff this time, so I'm just gonna now I'm gonna do a little bit more filters on it to finish it up. Oh, I forgot one step actually. So it's always good to have, like, if you want, this is optional, I'm gonna have a like some white text on it. And I'm just gonna kind of make it white, and then I'm gonna minimize it to like maybe 40. No, that's still too big. Like 20, a little too big. 15, 10. Okay, that'll work. Just gonna kind of, maybe. So, once you have this, I'm just gonna actually edit this again, and then I'm gonna highlight this. Select this tool up here, which is a very good tool. There's tons of effects you can do. I like to use the arc. It's very good. I'm just gonna turn this down and then turn horizontal up so it makes like a nice lean to it, and then vertical, turn that up as well. So now it has like a nice lean back to it. It looks very nice. I like to use this, and I'm just gonna maybe, let's see, where could I set this? Set this right up here, like that. And then effects, I'm just gonna use a nice gradient overlay, and I'm just gonna kind of turn down the opacity so it gets a nice little fade, but I'm not gonna make that black. I'm actually gonna make that green since it's a green banner. So I'm just gonna kind of make that a nice green. Might bring it down just a little less, just barely noticeable. Like something like that. And the top, I'm gonna make it not just a white, maybe like a grayish. Well, actually, I don't know if I like that green. I actually might make it black. It looks nicer black. So I'm just gonna kind of bring down the opacity so it has a nice little, like that. Make this white because so it looks nicer. There we go. Nice. And I'm gonna bring this to like 2. Maybe 3 actually, so it's more noticeable. So like, yeah, that'll work. Bring down the opacity a little bit. It's like so 12, and then drop shadow if you want. Maybe not a drop shadow. And that should be good. And if you want, I'm gonna show you another effect you can do, which is a pretty cool effect. This is the RGB effect. So to do this, you have your text. I'm gonna remove all these effects. So like that, and you want to duplicate 3 of these. So Control J. So you got 3, and you want to make them all. You want to make it all rasterized. So you want to rasterize them all. So what that effect does is it makes it where it's uneditable no more. It's like you can't edit it. And on the very top one, you just want to do this, go to blending options, and then just uncheck G to make this nice green. And then on the second one, you want to check B and R to make this purple. And on the very top, if you use your mouse or your keyboard arrow keys with your move tool selected here, just kind of move it to the left a little bit twice, and then for the second one, just move that one to the right, like I'd say once, depending on how big the text is. So once you do that, merge these together. So right click, merge it. Yeah, there we go. Just zoom in to it, and then here is, once you get that, you get your polygonal lasso tool. Now it might just look like this. Just hold down on it, so then these will pop up, and just select the polygonal lasso tool. And you just want to make some rectangles, so like this, just kind of make that. And then if you want to keep making more, hold shift to do another. And I'm just gonna kind of maybe I don't know if I won't in there actually. Let me redo that. So maybe right here, 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 here. That's a little too big. See, this, it takes time to do these things. So maybe like here, about this thick. Yeah, that's a good thickness. Make a rectangle. Okay. Hold shift, and I'm just gonna make another one like right here. It's kind of non-thick rectangle like that. That'll work. And then once you do that, just right click and then do layer via cut, and that will cut. Actually, do that right? Yeah. Control X to cut it. My bad. And then do Control V to paste. And you just want to kind of just drag this like this. So now you get this nice looking effect here. So when you zoom out, actually, hold on, I'm actually going to reposition that because it doesn't. I might move it to the left a little more. Kind of like right there. Will that work? You can do this if you want. It really depends, but I don't think I'm gonna do it because I don't like it, and it's not working that well on this size because it's really small. Oh, did that again? That. Click deselect. Okay. So that's a cool little effect you can do. For this banner, personally, it doesn't look that good unless I like make this like super small, make it like not too noticeable. It's like that. I'm actually gonna make it a little smaller in size. So hold shift and just kind of raise it up. So like put that right there. See what that looks like. Yeah, that could work. I could work with that. So there you go. You have your banner. Now I'm gonna do a couple add-on, or I guess not add-ons, but like, I should say more filters. So you want to duplicate your banner. So like if I deselect these, it's not gonna pop up. So it's just all one thing. And I'm just gonna select duplicate it, and I'm gonna go filter, and I'm gonna go blur, and I'm gonna go what is it? Is it radio blur? Yeah. So you want to go radio blur, and you want to set best and then zoom. Now this is very popular blur effect. It makes it like where it's coming towards you, and it's very cool. I use it sometimes, but I'm actually going to turn down the opacity on it a lot. So there's a little bit of blur, but not too much, you know. Sometimes I might not even use that blur because it's just too much blur. So I might get a filter, or not filter gallery, my bad. Go blur, and then like I like to use what is it? Motion blur. This one's a good blur. Kind of change the distance to like 3, and then actually maybe 4. and I just kind of erase some of it, kind of make it, you know, it's really up to you. I don't think I'm gonna use blur on this banner. Doesn't look that good. Like I said, test things out, make sure it looks good, you know, if you like it or not. So this will be the banner. And also one other thing, let's say you don't like the color anymore, you changed your mind, you don't want to use green, just merge this whole banner and just do Control U, and this will allow you to change the color. So let's say, for example, if I wanted to change it to blue, I could do that. Pink, like a reddish. I could do green. I mean, it's really up to you. I could make the saturation higher, which will make the color stand out a little more. Which I kind of like the saturation coming out a little more, but I like green. So, like, you know, make it darkener, you know, like, you know, it's really all up to you. So hope you enjoyed this tutorial on my start to finish series on how I make my banners. I hope this tutorial taught you something, and as the last tutorial, also shout out to the Doom Arts or Doom Designs. They are a nice team. They recruited me about a couple days ago. Go check them out. Their channel will be in the description below. So hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Peace, guys.